Tottenham's roller coaster of a season plunders on, and I say it's a roller coaster because it has properly been up and down. We've had 5 wins, 5 defeats and 1 draw so far in the Premier League. We've had 3 wins in the Europa League as well and 1 loss on top of that. And then in the Carabao Cup, we've also had 2 wins that have seen us through to the next round. So today on the Sonny Talks Spurs YouTube channel, I'm going to be ranking the Tottenham players on how good or bad they've been this season. But if you are new to the channel, then leave a like, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and also leave your comments down below. Do you agree, disagree, and let me know what your tier list would be. So yeah, I've cracked out the old tier list as you can see on screen. Now, this is the bulk of the Tottenham squad. There's a few players missing, such as Sergio Reguilon, and also a few other youth players who haven't actually had many minutes. But the way we're going to rank this is based on 5 different categories, and that is elite, which I'm saying are like the world class, have been absolutely amazing in the majority of games this season. Good, just below, obviously makes sense. They've been good. They've not been amazing, but they've been all right. Okay has been, a couple of good games here and there. Awful, they've been absolutely shocking. Not had one good game, really. And God knows means they haven't either played or I just can't tell. So without further ado, let's start in a weird sort of sense with Alfie Whiteman. And, he's got to go in God knows, hasn't he? I just don't think... And I'll probably get onto this when I talk about one of the other goalkeepers, but I don't get why him or Austin don't get any minutes. I might as well put Austin in the God knows category as well because they're younger. I think they signed new contracts as well at the beginning of the season. They're obviously English, so they're good for homegrown and all that sort of quota. But what's the point? I don't know if they're good. We saw a bit of Austin in pre-season. I think Whiteman as well. They're better with playing out with their feet compared to someone else on this list who keeps getting minutes as the backup goalkeeper. But they have to go in God knows because I don't know if they're any good. I don't know why they're at the club. I don't know what's the point of having 4 goalkeepers like that. We might as well promote another youth goalkeeper and at least give them a chance. So they've got to go in God knows because I just don't think they've been good enough, Well, we don't know if they're good enough, so I'll leave them in the God knows category. Then we have, I might as well actually go to him, Fraser Forster, who I'm talking about. I don't think he's been amazing. There's been instances, I think, against Coventry where he played, where he was terrible. And then he's played in a few of the Europa League games. Obviously, very bad at playing out from the back with his feet. Really panicky on the ball. Not good at, against Galatasaray, there was some where if Fabio was in net, he'd save it. But obviously he's not that, level of goalkeeper. He's obviously on the latter side. I don't get why we don't have Fraser Forster as the goalkeeping coach and then promote one of the other 2. Probably Austin I'd more edge towards, but Forster's just... there's been a couple of times he's saved us in the games he's played, but on a whole, he's not been great. So I'd have to put him in awful, just because I just don't get why he's at the club. Why don't we just play an actual goalkeeper? I think the other 2 are like 25 years old each, so I'd rather see them given a chance. And while we're doing goalkeepers, Vicario, compared to last year, he's not been good, has he? He's been bang average. He has been found out from corners and set pieces, really bad at claiming and bullied by defenders. He, from the back, I don't think his passing has been as good. Going long, he's also not been great. A couple of times he's, saved us. He's made some good shots, but I guess when we talk about clean sheets, it does come from your goalkeeper as much as your defence. So with Vicario, I don't want to put him in awful because he's been all right, but I'd have to put him in okay. I just feel like there's been moments where I haven't seen enough of him. Last year, he was really, really good. And then when we played Man City in the FA Cup, that was when he was getting found out. And since then, he's been on a downward trajectory. But looking at that tier list now, it's quite worrying that none of your goalkeepers are at least in the good category. But it is what it is. So next up, we have Archie Gray. Now, Archie Gray's a weird one because obviously came in during the summer, a lot of potential from Leeds United, but I feel a bit sorry for him because he hasn't played in midfield whatsoever. In pre-season, he's played at centre-back, he's played right-back, he's played left-back. I mean, at right-back, most recently, he played against Man City in the Carabao Cup, and he was absolutely rinsed by Nunes, I believe it was. So we haven't been able to see him in midfield. He's not been trusted in the six. That's either been Bowman or Bentancur. So I don't really know how to judge Archie Gray, really. I feel like we haven't really seen his full potential. But when he has played, I mean, against Galatasaray, he played a lovely ball to Brennan Johnson, who assisted Will Lange. So, I mean, I'm going to put him in okay because I feel like we haven't really seen the full potential of Archie Gray, and that rhyme there, so I like that. Ben Davies is our next player. Now, again, Ben Davies has come on in cameos. We can tell he's probably still here for home quota and will eventually be moved on. But I'll be honest, when he has played, I think that's another okay, isn't it? I don't really feel like there's not really another category for Ben Davies because that when he comes into the back line, it's, we need him there because we've got no one left. Romero would be out or injured. Same with Van der Ven, Dragusin as well. So you have to put him in okay. But there was moments when he came on against City and a couple of the Europa League appearances where he's been all right. But on a whole, our second string defence is not good. And that's saying something. We're in our first string defence has not been amazing. So yeah, Ben Davies has to go there. But then going to our other Welshman, Brennan Johnson. Now, obviously, he was getting stick at the beginning of the season and a lot of online hate, which I was fully against. Then he went on a really good run, scoring goals, linking up play, and then since then he's gone a bit quiet again. But I am going to put him in good. I do think he's upped his game this season. You can just see there are moments where, and I have said this about him, his decision-making has been a bit questionable, but he has got an eye for goal this season. I do think he still has a lot of potential and there's still a lot to work on, but I think he's been one of the better players in the team. And, in this season where we're all a bit up in the air and we don't really know what to think about Spurs, I still think he's been quite good and a shining light. And I feel like we need to get off his back and let him do his thing. I mean, against Ipswich was a bit missing. I saw that Twitter account that just posts stupid stats to fuel engagement, having a go at him, and in my opinion, I think he's been good. But someone who hasn't been good, Christian Romero. It's not been a good season. He's been linked with Real Madrid. He's been, last year we were applauding him. Less red cards, more keeping his head in games. But he has not been good. I have to put Christian Romero in awful. There's no other way to put him. He has cost us a lot of goals. He steps out too much. He's quite rash again, but not in like a foul way. He's just, he's meant to be also one of our vice captains, but he's not leading by example. He's, rushing out, disturbing that back line. Really not as good. When Van der Ven's not there, it's even more apparent he's not been that good. So Romero, I'm sorry, and I love him to bits. I think he's a good defender. I have called him a world-class defender in the past, but this year he is not living up to that whatsoever. But flipping on its head now, got to be positive because Dejan Kulusevski, and I'm going straight away with this. He's been elite. He's been one of the best midfielders, if not in Europe, but the Premier League definitely. And he's just been the ticking. The metronome for Tottenham this season, our best creator, so much better in the central of midfield. I mean, he went out on the wing against Ipswich in the latter stages of the game and he's just not as good there because he's not as quick, but he's willing to take those uncomfortable passes, thread through amazing balls to Dominic Solanke. I've done a more in-depth video on Dejan Kulusevski. You can go and check it out if you want a bit more of an in-depth look into how good I think he's been, but I have not got a bad word to say about him. There's some games where if he's not playing well, then the whole team aren't playing well, which is worrying. But I think on a whole, he's been one of our best players, if not the best player this season. Next up, Destiny Udogie. Now, again, like Romero, amazing last year. People would call him the best left back in the league. But this year, He's been found out a little bit. His defensive actions have not, been that good. He has been sort of chasing balls when he's defending, caught wrong side, just sort of using that athleticism to really, bail himself out. So again, I've got to put him in awful. Pains me to say it, but I just don't think he's been that good. The whole back line has been very, very poor, which is a real, real shame. So, and also, I don't think what hasn't helped him is he's played a lot of minutes. When Van de Ven got injured in the Man City game, he comes on as left back. When Dragosin got sent off in the Europa League, he came on as left back. So we haven't been able to rotate it, and that's a squad issue. I said there's no Reguilon on this tier list. He's in our squad, and he hasn't played, but maybe he should be. Jed Spence, not in the Europa League squad. He's actually up next, so we might as well go straight on to him. He needs to be used more. I think when he's played, he's been okay. I think he's got a lot of potential. He scored in Coventry. He came on and changed the game. I think Jed Spence needs more opportunities. It's a shame he's not in that Europa League squad because we needed him to rotate. But I don't see anything wrong with using him. He signed a new contract extension as well. He's also been injured. But I think he has been okay. I think he should get more potential. But looking at the tier list currently, it's quite bottom heavy. So moving on, let's go straight on to Dominic Solanke. And yeah, Dominic Solanke. So I think elite. I think although he hasn't scored as many goals as people would say, and I've seen people say, I've done a video on him as well. 65 million, Bournemouth striker. He's just a lump and all that negativity. Still, some Spurs fans have said it as well. I think he's the difference maker for us. We need a focal point, and he's perfect. He presses well. He will get more goals. I back Dominic Solanke. He's been one of our better players. I am really, really hopeful he can, be the difference maker in a lot of our games. Just needs to be fed more, get more creativity. The wingers need to find him. Kulusevski and Maddison, when they're the creators, finding him more, and I'm sure he will get even more goals. I feel like he's got enough goals. Like he's got 4 in the Premier League. He scored in some other competitions as well, including the Europa League. So I think I will put him in elite. Now, this one's going to pain me. Son. And I want to do an in-depth video on him, actually. He scored a few. He scored a few at home. But I think he's been okay. I don't think Son has been that good. I feel like he's not got that pace anymore. I watched him, obviously, I was at the Ipswich game. And you can just see there's just something not right there. And I don't know also if he's the perfect captain for Spurs, which worries me a lot. A lot. So, yeah, Son, I'm really disappointed in, where his career could be going. Contract talks apparently up in the air as well. So he has to go in okay. I've not seen enough of him. I mean, part of me wants to put him in God knows, but I feel like he's not been bad because when he has been scoring, he has been really good and he showed that killer instinct. But he has to go in that okay category. I just don't think he has been the player that we know he can be. But moving on, James Maddison. Now, James Maddison's a tricky one because I actually think he's had an all right season, but he's been subbed off in most games. There are moments where Ange's got this problem where Kulusevski's been so good, but does he play Sarr? Does he play Maddison? And I think that's been an Ange problem. Ange, I don't think has played the right midfield. Against Ipswich, you'd probably want Maddison and Kulusevski because we're going to have more of the ball. But against West Ham or a team that we're going to sit deep, Villa, then you bring on Sarr. So I'm going to put Maddison in. I think I've got to put him okay. I don't think I can put him in good because he still has not done enough or we haven't seen enough of him to really go up into that next category. Whereas Lucas Bergvall has had a few cameos. Obviously, he had to be subbed off in an early Europa League game. But I don't think I've seen enough for him to really make judgment. I wouldn't put him in awful because I don't think he's been that bad. But again, I'd probably have to put him in okay. Just because I feel like I still don't know who the player is. I've watched a lot of him, but I'm still like, it does feel cameo. Even the Europa League, it feels very cameo-ish. But next up, we have Mickey van der Ven. And when he's played, he's been absolutely amazing. I'd put him in elite. I think he's one of the best defenders in the Premier League. He makes our defence better. He's so quick. He helps with that high line. But obviously, he's been injured. He got that hamstring injury. Hopefully returns after this international break. But yeah, he's one of our better players. I love him to bits. I still think we're such a better team with him. And without him, we go down a level. Then we have Mikey Moore. Obviously, played a few minutes this season. Played against Palace in the Premier League. Made his debut. Also played against AZ Alkmaar. When I've seen him, he's been good. Apart from Palace, obviously. But I think I'll put him in good because there's the potential there. You can see what sort of player he's going to be. I think he's being used wisely by Ange. I don't think he's being rushed. I don't think he's being, a lot of pressure. I've seen Arsenal fans calling for Ethan Nwari, but I don't think we want to push him too much. We saw against Palace, I think he was fatigued, but we need to manage his minutes well, and I think we're doing that all right. Then we have Sarr. And I think Sarr's been elite. I did a video on him the other day, calling him one of the most underrated players in the Premier League. He is just so good box to box. And what is good is a lot of our midfielders have similar traits, but I think he's unique. We don't have another midfielder like him. We probably need to find someone who could be like him. But when he's played, he's changed the games. He's adding goals to his game as well this season, which has been really, really impressive. So I'm going to have to put him in elite. Pedro Porro is a tricky one, though, because I don't think he's been good. Annoyingly, his attacking numbers have gone down, which shows when he's defending as well. His defending hasn't been great, but his attacking numbers were good in his athleticism. But even against Ipswich, he was getting caught out time and time again on that right-hand side. So I wouldn't put him in awful, but I'll put him in okay. There's been patches where he's been all right and showed potential. Scored in the first game of the season as well, but yeah, not being great. Radu Dragusin. Oh, this pains me because I think he could be a good player, but I'm going to have to put him in awful. Against Galatasaray, against Ipswich. His agent needs to stop talking because he's saying he can play for Real Madrid one day. A lot of these players, Porro, Romero, Adogi, Dragusin, were being linked with big clubs, and most of them were being linked with Real Madrid at one point. They need to calm down because this is your level at the moment. You need to up it for us before you think about big moves. So Dragusin has not been good enough. He needs to up his game because he's so erratic. I'll be honest, I will let him off slightly because he is being played on the left-hand side a lot. But yeah, I'm not sure about his future at the club. Speaking of someone's future at the club, Richarlison, I'll be honest, I've got to put him in God knows. I've not seen enough of Richarlison this season to make a fine judgment. I think when he's come on, he's been all right. He's looked sprightly, but I mean, God knows was meant to be reserved for players that haven't really played at all, and he hasn't because he's been injured. But if he's going to be this injury prone, I think his time's up at the club. But again, came on the other day, assisted Solanke, and then was injured. What's going to happen with him? Then we have Rodrigo Bentancur. I'm going to put him as good. I think, he's been one of our better players. Against Ipswich, he was one of the better players. I'd say he's the starting six now, really. So, because, defensively he can be okay, but he's passing. He's, the way he can sort of resist the press of another team. He's just comfortable on the ball. So I would have to put him there because I just think he hasn't been elite because he has been chopping and changing between the side, but I think he's been good enough and shows that maybe if we were to lose him to another injury again or the ban that is being alluded over his head, then we would be, not in a great position. Timo Werner. Now, Timo Werner, this is a tricky one because against City he was good. Even when he came against Ipswich, he was all right. I don't think he's been awful, though. I think I'm going to put him in okay because I just think I don't want us to sign him. But I think when you look at our wingers in general, I think they've been really... They sum up the whole team. They've been so hit and miss. And I just don't think he's the answer all the time. But He's not been amazing. He's not been that's a tricky one. I'd want to put him in God knows, but I'm going to have to leave him there, I think. Then we have Will Lange. Obviously, he played a handful of appearances in the Europa League. Scored and then got sent off. But the goal was really good, well worked. But I'd put him in... I'd still put him in God knows, because I feel like we don't know... he's been compared to Harry Kane, the way he can strike a ball, but I still don't know who the real Will Lange is. So I'm willing to give him time. I'd probably put him in okay based on the handful of appearances I've seen. Same with Wilson Odobert. He looks all right, but injury has hampered him. He came on the other day and looks okay. But again, God knows. I don't know what he's like at the moment. I feel like I need to see more of him. And then finally, Bissouma's a tricky one because he can really be hit and miss. He's either really good like he was against Everton, or he can be really bad. I'd have to put him in okay, because it's just that sort of... There's a reason the okay column is so full, because it's been so hit and miss. But that's what's really worrying about Spurs, is we're very inconsistent, and this sort of tier list shows up the inconsistency. But there you have it. That is the completed tier list. Elite, you have Kulusevski, Solanke, Van der Ven and Sarr. In good, Johnson, Moore and Bentancur. In okay, I've got Vicario, Gray, Davis, Spence, Son, Maddison, Bergvall, Porro, Werner and Bissouma. In awful, I've got Forster, Romero, Udogie and Dragoshin. And in God knows, I've got Whiteman, Austin, Richarlison, Lancashire and Odobert. But you're going to have to let me know in the comments down below. How would you rank these players? Have I got it completely wrong, or have I got it spot on? Let me know your thoughts, comments down below. And if you have enjoyed this different sort of video, let me know. Do you want me to do any other tier lists, during the normal season when it's not the international break? Let me know. And if you have enjoyed, like, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell. And I'll see you guys again soon. Ciao.